Most men think they know the way. They rush to the destination, focused on the heat, the skin, the obvious. But a mature woman, she isn't looking for a sprint. She's looking for someone who knows how to read the map before they even start the car. There is one place, one specific invisible threshold that she wants touched before you ever lay a finger on her skin. And if you miss it, you've already lost the game. Tonight, I'm going to tell you exactly what that is. You see, a girl wants to be seen, but a woman, she wants to be understood. By the time a woman reaches her prime, she's seen every move in the book. She knows the line. She's heard the empty promises, and she can spot a man who is just performing from a mile away. To her, the physical act is easy to find. It's common. But the connection, that is the rare vintage she's been saving her best self for. To touch her the way she truly craves, you have to realize that her body is just the echo of her mind. If you haven't touched her intellect and her nervous system first, you are nothing but white noise in a world that is already too loud. The place she once touched first is her sense of surrender. Now, don't mistake surrender for weakness. In the world of high-level intimacy, surrender is the ultimate luxury. It is the feeling that she can finally drop the mask of the CEO, the mother, or the composed professional and simply be a creature of pure, unadulterated desire. But she will never surrender to a man who is rushed. She will never open that door for someone who is vibrating with nervous energy. You touch her surrender by being the most grounded thing in the room. Imagine you are sitting across from her. The air between you is thick, charged with everything you aren't saying yet. You aren't reaching for her hand. You aren't leaning in for the kiss. Instead, you touch her with your presence. You look at her not at her clothes, not at her jewelry, but into the part of her that she keeps hidden from the rest of the world. You let the silence sit there between you until it feels heavy. When you speak, your voice is an octave lower. You aren't asking for permission. You are setting the pace. You are telling her without a single word that you have all the time in the world to discover her. When the physical contact finally happens, it must be a revelation, not a routine. You start where the nerves are closest to the surface, but where no one else thinks to look. You touch the palm of her hand with the pads of your fingers slowly, as if you're tracing the very lines of her fate. You move to the inner wrist where the pulse is jumping, acknowledging the heat you've already created without even trying. You move to the back of the neck, just at the hairline where the skin is sensitive, and the instinct is to lean back. This is the technical seduction. The art of bypassing the obvious to trigger the electric. You are building a fire, not just flicking a switch. Every touch is a question, and every breath she takes is the answer. You are teaching her that you are a man who notices the details. The way her breath hitches when your thumb grazes her jawline. The way her eyes darken when you hold her gaze a second too long. This is how you win. You don't just take her body. You occupy her mind until she is the one reaching for you. Most men will never learn this. They are too busy chasing the end. But you understand that the journey is where the power lies. If you're ready to stop being the man who asks and start being the man who leads, you know what to do. The world of mature intimacy is deep towards, and we've only just scratched the surface. If you want to master the rest of the map, stay with me. This is only the beginning of what she's been waiting for. The air is different when you stop trying to convince her and start trying to consume her. Most men approach a woman like they're trying to win a race, but seduction isn't about speed. It's about the exquisite torture of the almost. You move your chair a fraction of an inch closer, not enough to be aggressive, but enough to change the gravity of the room. You watch the way the light hits the curve of her collarbone, and you let your eyes linger there just a heartbeat too long, letting her know that you aren't just looking at her. You are appreciating her. When you finally decide to bridge the gap, you don't go for the mouth. That's too easy. Instead, you reach out and tuck a stray hair behind her ear, but you let your fingertips trail down the side of her neck, barely making contact. It's a ghost of a touch, a whisper against her skin that sends a signal straight to her nervous system. You see that tiny shiver. That's her body acknowledging that you've bypassed her logic and gone straight for her instincts. You lean in, your lips inches from her ear, and you let your breath hit the sensitive spot just below the lobe. You don't whisper a pickup line, you whisper a truth. Something about the way she's looking at you or the way you can feel her heart racing from across the table. Now, you pull back. This is the part most men fail at. They get a reaction and they push harder. But a master of seduction knows that the pullback is what creates the vacuum. You give her a taste of that intensity, and then you retreat just an inch, forcing her to be the one to bridge the distance. You create a hunger that only you can feed. You take her hand not to hold it, but to explore it. You turn it over, exposing the soft, pale skin of her inner wrist towards. You trace the veins there with the tip of your tongue or a soft brush of your thumb, acknowledging the literal life force pumping through her. It's an intimate territorial gesture that tells her you aren't afraid of her depth. As the tension reaches the breaking point, you move your hand to the small of her back. There is a cluster of nerves there that, when pressed firmly, signals a sense of total protection and total possession. You pull her slightly closer, letting her feel the heat radiating from your chest. You aren't rushing. You are savoring the anticipation because you know that the before is often more powerful than the after. You look at her lips, then back to her eyes, and you wait. You wait until her breath becomes shallow, until her pupils dilate, until she is practically begging you with her silence to take the next step. This is the art of the slow burn. This is how you touch a woman's soar through her skin. You aren't just another man she met. You are the man who made her feel alive again, who reminded her that she is a creature of fire and desire. If you want to know the specific techniques to take this from the table to the bedroom, to turn this tension into an unforgettable night, then you need to be prepared for the power you're about to hold. The path is open, but only for those who have the patience to walk it. Are you ready to be the man she can't stop thinking about? Then don't just watch, take action. The next level of mastery is waiting for you. Once the doors close and the world outside disappears, the energy shifts. It's no longer about the suggestion of what might happen. It's about the deliberate, slow unfolding of what is happening. You don't rush to remove the obstacles between you. Instead, you treat her clothes like a gift wrapping that you aren't quite ready to tear into yet. You lead her to a space where she can feel grounded, a sofa, a wall, the edge of the bed, and you maintain that heavy-weighted eye contact. You are letting her know that while the setting has changed, your composure hasn't. You are still the one in control of the rhythm. You place your hands on her waist, but you don't pull her in immediately. You let them sit there, letting your heat seep through the fabric, grounding her. Then you begin the escalation of the invisible touch. You move your hands upward slowly, grazing the ribs, feeling the expansion of her lungs as her breathing turns into rhythmic sighs. When you reach her face, you frame it with both hands, using your thumbs to trace the line of her cheekbones and the curve of her lower lip. You aren't just touching her, you are worshiping the canvas. This is the moment you bridge the final gap, but you do it with a kiss that is slow, deep, and heavy, with the promise of everything else to come. As things heat up, you focus on the transition zones, the areas where the skin is thinnest and the sensations are most electric. You move from her lips to the hollow of her throat, where her pulse is a frantic drumbeat beneath your tongue. You use the friction of your stubble or the softness of your lips to create a contrast that keeps her nerves on edge. You move to her shoulders, peeling back the layers with a deliberate slowness that makes her ache for the next move. Every time you uncover a new inch of skin, you acknowledge it, you kiss it, you breathe on it, you let her feel your appreciation for the woman she has become. The escalation continues by focusing on the tension of give and take. You use your weight to press her back, letting her feel the strength of your body against hers. Then you pull away just enough to make her reach for you. You are playing with the magnetism of the moment. You move your hands to her thighs, your touch firm and intentional, signaling that you aren't just exploring, you are claiming. You find that spot on the inner thigh, miles away from the destination, but humming with the same energy, and you linger there. You let your fingers trace patterns that make her heart race, watching the way her body reacts to the anticipation. This is where the mature woman truly differentiates from the girl. She doesn't want the frantic energy of a teenager. She wants to deliberate. Powerful presence of a man who knows exactly what he's doing and why he's doing it. You aren't performing for her. You are experiencing her. You keep your movements fluid, your voice a low vibration in her ear, narrating the beauty of what you're seeing and feeling. You are building a crescendo that isn't just physical, but emotional and primal. By the time you reach the peak of the evening, she shouldn't just be ready. She should be consumed by the fire. You've spent the last hour carefully tending. You have touched her mind, her heart, her nerves, and finally her soul. This is the level of intimacy that leaves a mark. This is the kind of night she will replay in her mind for weeks. If you want to master the final, most intimate secrets of this journey, the techniques that ensure she never wants anyone else, then you are ready for the final chapter. Don't leave her waiting. Master the art of the finish just as well as you master the start. The fire doesn't end when the physical heat begins to settle. For a mature woman, the most intoxicating part of the experience is what happens in the quiet that follows. Most men make the mistake of checking out the moment the peak is past. But the master of seduction knows that the afterglow is where you cement your place in her mind forever. You stay close. You don't let the sudden silence feel like a void. You fill it with the warmth of your skin and the weight of your arm draped over her, pulling her back into the reality of what you just shared. You touch her now with a different kind of intent. It's no longer about the chase. It's about the appreciation. You trace the curve of her shoulder or the line of her spine with a touch that is soft, lingering, and reverent. You are telling her without saying a word that you weren't just there for the destination. You were there for her. You lean in and press a slow, lingering kiss to the temple or the crown of her head, letting her breathe in your scent while her nervous system slowly recalibrates. This is where the deep chemical bond is formed. This is where you become more than just a memory. You become a necessity. In this final space, your voice returns to that low, intimate vibration. You whisper something that acknowledges the depth of what just happened. You don't use cliches. You mention a specific moment, the way she looked in the moonlight, the sound she made when you touched a certain spot, the intensity of her gaze. By noticing the details in the aftermath, you prove that you were truly present. You are touching her ego and her heart simultaneously, reinforcing the idea that she is the most captivating woman you've ever encountered. A mature woman thrives on this kind of authentic recognition. As you eventually move to transition back to the world, you do it with a lingering reluctance. You don't jump up to find your phone or check the time. You make the parting of your skin feel like a slow magnetic pull. You leave her with a final look, one that is heavy with the promise that this wasn't a one-time event, but the beginning of a new standard. You leave a piece of yourself behind in the way you look at her one last time before you walk away. A look that says, I know exactly what I found and I'm not letting go. Seduction is a cycle, not a straight line. By mastering the art of the afterglow, you ensure that the tension begins to build again, and the very moment you leave the room, she will lie there tracing the spots where your hands were replaying the vibration of your voice and wondering how she ever settled for anything less than the way you just made her feel. You have touched the one thing no other man could reach: her total unapologetic desire to be claimed by someone who actually sees her. Now the power is in your hands. You have the map, the techniques, and the psychological keys to unlock a level of intimacy most men can only dream of. But knowledge without action is just a fantasy. If you are ready to embody this role, to become the man who understands the silent language of a woman's soul, then your journey starts today. If this resonated with you, if you felt that spark or want to learn how to ignite it, show your support by hitting that like button. It tells the world that the art of the gentleman isn't dead. And I want to hear from you. Comment below with the one word that describes the energy you want to bring into your next encounter. Let's start a conversation that matters. Subscribe to join the circle of men who choose to lead.